A quote from Terence McKenna. Psychedelics are illegal, not because a loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open you up to the possibility that everything you know is wrong. Now, I can't comment on the motivations of governments, but it does strain credulity to think that an intoxicated brain is somehow better equipped to interpret and understand reality than a sober one. Do you think that the truth can be found through psychedelics or other drugs? Call us because the show is starting right now. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Truth Wanted. I am your host, MD Aware. This is the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. Here we talk to people about what they believe and why, and we'd love to hear from you if you have something to say. So please call us at 1-512-991-9242 or through your computer at tiny.cc/call-TW. Truth Wanted is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. We'd also like to welcome our new viewers watching today on Twitter and Twitch, or maybe X and Twitch, as well as give some love to all of our viewers on YouTube. With me this week, we have Jason Friedman. Hello, Jason. Welcome to the show.
Hey, MD. How you doing, man?
I'm great. And this is not your first rodeo on Truth Wanted, correct?
No. I was in studio with Dan, I think a half a year ago. I have no concept of time. But yeah, we Dan and I got to hang out, and I got to hang out with the folks over at the library, and it was a lot of fun. And we actually had some really good calls. So yeah, I'm excited to be back here, man.
Well, I hope that we can live up to that. It's a great time, right? Over at the studio. Everyone always looks like they're having so much fun there.
Oh yeah, I love going there. I mean, I live in Houston, so I'm only a couple hours away, and I love going up there, especially now that they're open to back up. The end of every month. I won't be able to make it this month, but I'll be up there next month, and everybody's up there. Everybody up there is great, and they weren't joking whenever I saw the shows early on, and like the crew does all the work. I'm like, yeah, that's what everybody says. Unbelievable how much work everybody
they literally do all the work. Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I hope this show is going to be as good as the last one. I'm going to need to get down to the Free Thought Library myself at some point and make the trip down from Toronto.
Oh, no, you should, man. Let me know whenever you're coming down. I'll bring the family up there and we'll make sure to hang out. Austin has Texas in general has great food, but Austin has some really good places to go eat. And I mean, even no matter what you want. The last time I was there, we went out, ate a bunch of vegan food. So it was great.
Nice. Yeah. And I'm going to have to check out this bat cruise. Although I hear that half the time the bats don't even show up. Who knows? But hey, I'm a huge nature fanatic as well. So I'd love to go down and check that out.
Oh, yeah. Same here, man.
All right. Before we get started on the show, we want to give you last week's result of the We Want the Truth, or WWTT segment. Last week, we asked you to complete this sentence. Reiki never works on me, probably because I blank. And here are our favorite answers. Number 3 from Alexander KTN. Reiki never works on me, probably because I have no soul. That's okay, Alexander. I don't either. Number 2 from Aldebaran 4. Reiki never works on me, probably because I know it's fakey. Yes, nice. We're going to see a lot of puns today in the answers coming up. Speaking of which, number 1, our favorite answer. Erica, the Manic Pixie Dream Atheist, says, Reiki never works in me because someone told my heart, my Reiki breaky heart. Lovely. My answer for this, going along with the pun theme, Reiki never works on me because I'm already Ray unlocked. Dead silence. Love it.
Terrible. Don't worry, mine's even better. I said Reiki never works on me because I needed a shovel. Reiki. I'm sorry.
Nice.
I'm not known
No,
for
it's good.
my
I
comedy.
love the puns. We gotta do it. Okay. The prompt for this week. Wrong answers only.
Yep.
What's really going on at Area 51? What do you think, Jason? What's really going on at Area 51?
I think there's actually a lot of fun stuff going on there. I think we're having drag shows and big parties, and the conspiracy is they're trying to shut down all the drag shows and everything around here because they want to keep all the fun shit to themselves. I think it is the wealthy elite who are doing it, of course.
Oh yeah.
You know, but of course, because that's who always does everything. But they're trying to cause stress because they know if they take the drag shows from us, it's just society's going to collapse. You know, because I don't know how many shows you've been to. Here in Houston, we have an awesome drag scene, and
Nice.
I mean, I've never seen it get worse than maybe a hard PG-13. You know, and it's just so much fun. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. I flew a couple drones over, but you know they got taken down by like pink fishnet bombs, and so I mean I'm pretty sure the evidence
a dead
points towards it.
giveaway.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
a dead giveaway.
Yeah. What about you, man? What's going on at Area 51?
Man, I think you're on the right track. I do think that there's some alien stuff going on, but I actually think that it's just like secret alien parties, something like that.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of fun shit going on. There's like new psychedelics over there that everybody's just taken, and they're claiming that they're going across doorways and portals and dimensions, and you know they just want to hoard all the fun from us, man. I agree with you.
Totally. It's like the secret like military high command's weekend house away, right?
Yeah. It's like,
sorry, honey, got to go to Area 51 this weekend.
Yeah, it's like for the moral high elite. You know, they're not going to the Bohemian Grove because that's weird and gross and ooh, baby, and gross. Right. You know, they want to go party with aliens and do weird interdimensional super DMT or something and do drag shows. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I knew it. I knew we'd get along. That's we're on the
yeah.
same wavelength. You know, we went to that liberal university thing, and you know, we know the truth, right?
Absolutely. But hey, I can't wait to see what the audience comes up with.
Oh yes.
So comment on the video, and your comment may be read out on next week's episode. So hey, we can't wait to hear from you. So Jason, I know you've been on here before.
Yep.
But why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? Because it's been a couple of months, you said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So tell us about your background. What do you do? What's your thing? What's your bugbear that you like to talk about on shows like this?
Okay. Well, I've got a few things. I just recently graduated with undergraduate in science and psychology. Most of my classes were focused on biopsychology, neuropsychology, developmental psychology, behavioral stuff. So that right there was something, a big accomplishment I was happy doing, especially working full time with a kid. As far as atheist activism type stuff, I just finished a internship at the ACA, and for about a year and a half, I ran a group on the ACD Discord called Brain Matters, which was like a peer-to-peer support group, discussion study group involving issues that intersect with atheists and skeptics, and anybody else who was just wanting to be there. Right now, I am currently working with Recovering from Religion. I am one of the people. If you want to volunteer, and we would love for people to volunteer, I could possibly be interviewing you. So you can talk to my shining, bubbly self, and I can ask you a series of very exposing but important questions, and we can figure out where you would fit and how best you can help. Also, I still do some facilitation on staff over the ACD, and I play in a couple of punk rock metal bands, one of them called Verbal Abuse and another one called The Burden, and we're very outspoken about more or less all the issues that intersect with skeptics and atheists and those who don't really fit into the norm, especially here in the US and in society in general. So yeah, that's more or less what I'm doing, and I'm going to be pursuing my WPATH and my LCDC. I'll be working with queer populations and also be trained on how to work with people who deal with drug dependency, which those two very much intersect. And then eventually kind of debating between whether master's and PhD or just try to convince them to let me do the whole thing straight through in ClinSci. So that'll be, you know, my kiddo just started middle school, figure get her lined out for the next year and then start crushing it hard again. You know, my partner is super supportive and my kid's awesome. So, and luckily they leave room for that. So yeah, that's more or less what I got going on right now, man.
Great. And so it sounds like you've got one component of this,
Yes, sir.
which is very therapy driven psychology, clinical psychology type thing. But you also have like a significant animal research background and a lot of experience in like biopsychology,
Yes.
neuropsychology, neuropharmacology, that sort of stuff, correct?
Yeah. I had years ago went to school to get a degree in animal science, and I got licensed and started working at a research center here in Houston. Worked with primates. We were developing antibiotics while using rabbits. We had impregnated a scaffolding that we would put into a thing that we had done to their jaw, and it mimicked like blast wounds that were going on in Afghanistan and Iraq. And they were dealing, I think it was like an acintobacter or something that they were dealing with that was really prevalent in that area due to in the sand and the muck and all that crap and war. It's something that had really proliferated. So we were doing that in conjunction with Rice University. We would do neuro, and I would run the surgery suite. So I did anesthesia, radiology, and everything involving surgery, cath stuff. We would do neural surgery on primates who were in multiple studies there. And then one of the most interesting things that we got to do was we would demo a thing called the Da Vinci machine on a large more or less hog, and that it would be inverted for 10 hours straight. And we would come in and show surgeons how to use this machine. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, they put little ports in your body. It looks like something out of Hellraiser. So it's super fucking cool. So, and it has these machines and these arms, and you get into this big thing and it gives you this like 3D. It's amazing. So, I mean, we talked about it a little bit behind the scenes, and it's crazy because you're throwing sutures around little vessels on pig kidneys, and it's just so wild. So yeah, I love science, but I wanted to be the principal investigator because I'm extremely interested in the efficacy and effectiveness of different serotonergic psychedelic molecules when it comes to things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, schizophrenia, and other like issues of like CNS, central nervous system inflammation. And we have a lot of studies that are showing right now the actually effectiveness outside of the lab, effectiveness as opposed to efficacy with the serotonergic substances and even other ones. I mean, you have MDMA and other ones that are interesting, but they're not really what I'm really interested in, because I'm interested in less, I mean, of course, behavioral, because what the brain does, the body follows. I'm interested more in the meat and potatoes, hard science of the psychology. So I want to be the PI. I want to be the guy, writing the stuff up and calling the shots.
Right. And like, I guess part of the thing that we were talking about as well behind the scenes is that there has been a lot of difficulty advancing this sort of science. There's a lot of stigma around doing experiments, hard research on these psychedelic substances or other things that are traditionally recreational drugs, I think is the bottom line, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Including stuff like cannabis, where in some places it's legal, in some places it isn't. And how that has, the fact that it's illegal has really set medical research back.
Oh yeah.
As you're sort of learning, we're just now starting to be able to study the stuff in a real way where we can actually uncover any, actual potential benefits from it, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's I mean, what you brought up more or less is a collision with ideologies, right? So
exactly.
We all know about, I say we all, a lot of us know about what happened and with Leary and his whole group and kind of what that did for psychedelic research. It was just,
why don't you summarize for the class?
Sorry, I'm gonna. So more or less, they tapped into their own supply And we had these guys who were doing, they're professors and doing studies at universities. They just kind of started doing their own stash, right? And around that time is whenever you had a really strong pushback from conservative, what we see now more as like Christian nationalists. It's all it did was fuel the fire, right? And so the quote at the beginning that McKenna was talking about, McKenna, who's the one who went down to South America and cultivated the cubensis and really started actually you had Dennis and Terrence, but I digress, so he was really wrapped up in the psychedelic movement as well. They just needed that fuel to say, this is bad, this is evil, this is immoral. You started getting focused on the family type, religious, theocratic, nationalistic stuff. It gave it like fuel for the fire. See, it really pioneered the anti-science thing. That jumped on board, of course, with Satanic Panic, which helped us distrust even more, quote, authority figures. And, it just kind of propagated into today. Anytime ideology like dissuades progression, that's a no, thank you. That's terrible. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that that I see a lot from the clinical perspective is sort of the flip side of this, right?
Yeah.
Where because these things have not been studied, it leaves a gap where people can fill in whatever effects they want to say exist because of these drugs, right?
Oh, 100%.
And so the classic thing that I see the most often is cannabis, where people will say that like their pot can cure, like anything you want to say, they'll say that their pot can cure it. Oh no, I got this strain and it has anti-cancer effects.
Yep.
I don't need to take my chemo. I'm smoking this weed. Or, or maybe it's not cancer, it's like COVID. We've had people say like, oh no, I don't need the vaccine. I'll just like smoke this strain of pot, right? So, but it's because all of this moral panic and ideology, as you say, has prevented us from doing proper research on these compounds, right? And understanding them. So, I mean, it fails in both directions, and is very frustrating from our perspective, because it's one of those things where we can't say, right? I can't be like, no, that definitely doesn't happen, because we don't know, because we haven't done the studies.
Yep.
I mean, my position is always like, I don't know about that, but I do know about this. I do know that chemo can help your cancer, or I do know that vaccines can prevent you from getting COVID. So that's what I always push for. But, it's a real struggle fighting the alternative medicine movement in the form of these other recreational drug movements as well, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the other thing that really shines to me is whenever you've decided a certain molecule, chemical is a cure-all for mental health issues.
Right.
That is, and it's something we had glossed over a little bit, and especially with cannabis. So we can see where certain, and it's demonstrated time and time again, people with the potential or with certain disorders that lead to psychotic episodes, cannabis can be detrimental to their mental and, of course, physiological and physical health. Because I think a lot of us are still kind of trapped in a dualist mindset to where our minds are separate from our body, and that our mind is the projector telling us what's going on in our body. We should listen to our minds, in that sense. So we forget that our mental health will cause massive issues in our physiology, which increase stresses, which increases more of the issue, and it just cycles and cycles, and people will be stuck in psychotic episodes for longer than they even realize, and all over smoking a little grass, right? So, and it's all that cure-all thing. And my partner's a therapist, and they talk about that a lot, how people, it's like, no, you've got to stop. You're not even 18 years old. You're still developing. You're super young, because we see it in the youth a lot. And you're dealing with these issues. You have these different things. You've met these criteria. You cannot be smoking weed. Well, it's not going to give me cancer. Cool, that's great. We're not worried about cancer right now. We're worried about you living tomorrow. So
it's true.
I fully get what you're saying. That the pseudo psychology, the pseudoscience. People think they're reading some spiritual connection through these drug molecules, that it opens up these doorways. I mean, even McKenna, Terrence, not Dennis. Dennis is a little more grounded, but Terrence, he promoted that, like DMT connected you with another universe thing. I don't know. Do you hear about that stuff ever, man? That stuff's wild.
We don't see a lot of the psychedelics. Like, those people don't usually come into hospital, right?
Yeah, of course.
People come into hospital, like the people who smoke too much pot and they get the cyclic vomiting. Mm-hmm. So they come in, and then we see the like people who are on the really hard stuff, mm-hmm. Like the meth and the crack and that sort of thing. The thing that like really fucks with your body.
Yeah, it really gets its hooks in you. That stuff's terrible, man. The scene I grew up in, that was cocaine and amphetamines were and are still prevalent. So I've seen people younger than me just fall apart in a matter of a year. And that's terrible.
And I mean, shout out to like probably one of the worst drugs on just a like overall damage basis, alcohol, right? We see tons of alcohol induced illness, but it just goes to show you that like moderation is the key to all of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like no one's trying to kill anyone's fun, but like, I see people who come in with like liver failure, need a transplant, and they are drinking like, I know you guys have different measurement systems, but they're drinking like a liter of vodka a day, sort of thing. Like it's like a lot or more even, and it's just wild. I don't know. It's horrible how significant the damage due to alcohol can be as well.
Yeah, it really is. It's just really heartbreaking. I learned about the neurological stuff that can happen due to excessive alcohol use, and it's like you said, it's heartbreaking. And sadly, we're kind of in this 1984 thing to where it's promoted. So, what can you say?
Totally, man. I think we might circle back to this topic, but hey, before we do, we need to do an early shout out to the fabulous crew who we were talking about earlier, how they do run the show.
Yes.
And here is like, look at all those folks. Wow. In the library, look at them all. That's amazing, man. That's so cool.
I love those people. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
My family thinks they're great. I mean, these are just solid people. It's when you get involved in an organization, you're always nervous. Like, it's like, don't ever meet your heroes type thing. I learned this playing in bands, man. This is from just a person who's only been involved with ASA for about a year. Everybody's so solid, really cool folks that really put a lot of, like, when I say time, like so much time. So there's some great folks.
Yeah, it's amazing. And the whole team is great. They make everything super easy for us, as you know. I just show up and they do all the work. So,
oh yeah, man. It's 100%.
It's great. Okay. We do have some calls in the chamber. Before we do that, we need to shout out our patron of the week. Every single week, we get to shout out a patron who donates through tiny.cc/PatreonTW. Thank you for supporting the show. This week's patron of the week is, drumroll please, Daryl J. Lyle. Thank you, Daryl, for your contribution to us and for supporting the show. We greatly appreciate it. And hey, if you want to see your name up there, you can just donate through that link there. That's tiny.cc/PatreonTW. And I hope to be announcing your name soon. But hey, I think it's time to get some calls.
Hell yeah.
What do you think?
Man, I've literally got my notepad here because sometimes people will rapid fire stuff, and I like to keep track. So you pick, man. You're the captain.
All right.
Captain. I trust your judgment, sir.
All right. So why don't we start with Wesley? Wesley is calling from West Virginia. Him, and he, I think, is a theist. If I'm reading this call screen thing correctly, and he has a question about instructions given to Noah. His question is, what do the words blend, don't mix mean in relation to the secret given to Noah? Is that about right, Wesley?
Yes. Hi, shalom. I'm the man of the earth whom gave Noah the plum. I speak and interpret every language known to mankind, and I have the dove. And
Okay, so,
secret was
so
given-
let me just clarify a few things. So, are you a theist? Is that correct?
I'm the man of the earth. Yes, I am a theist.
Are you
What,
okay? You are.
What is that? What's a man? What is man of the earth? What's that?
It's something that the Jews are not to write on paper or speak out about outside of the house.
That doesn't make any sense, bro. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So, what was your question?
It was passed down from to Noah by God, Jesus. Noah gave it to his children. His children gave it to their children. It is passed down from parent to child through all the Hebrews, and it has never been told, not even the Spanish Inquisition, which disemboweled Jews trying to get this secret from them. No Jew would ever tell them.
Okay, so look, hey,
But what's the question?
I mean, I'm Jewish.
What does mean to you, and what does mix mean to you? And doing drugs is mix.
What does blend mean to us, and what does mix mean to us? And doing drugs is mix.
It's between blending and mixing.
I don't know. I don't think this is a very weird. So first of all, my gosh, where do we start with this?
Hey man, can I ask about the Jewish secret real quick? Is that cool, Wes? Like, can I call you Wes, or you prefer
Sure.
Wesley? Okay, so Wesley.
Like if you want.
Okay, so real quick, man, real quick. Stay with me. So my family is Jewish. You can see my last name right there on the thing right there. Yeah. So sorry, my hand got big. So my last name is Jewish. I don't know anything about this secret, and also my partner is also Jewish. Went to Hebrew school. Their whole family is Jewish. Everybody's Jewish around me. Please tell me about this Jewish secret.
You're denying to the man of the earth the Jewish secret, then you're not a Jew. It's simple as that.
Well, I mean, couldn't I be mistaken and not know something? I mean, what is this Jewish
The
secret? How do you know the Jewish
I
secret?
am the man it's about. I gave Noah the plum. The angel.
How old are you, Wesley?
I am
What?
62 years old.
I thought Noah lived
At least-
thousands of years ago.
I was going to say at least more than 62 years ago.
Look, just know this. Jesus gave Noah the secret. I shall visit you in a terrible time because you do not want to listen. But Jesus is the Messiah of the Jews, and Jesus gave Noah the words blend, don't mix, that you are not to confess outwardly that you had the secret given to you by your parents. The secret your parents gave to you is about me.
Okay, man.
Ta-da.
MD, what do you have? man?
Okay. I mean, first of all, if this is the guy who gave the thing to Noah that we're talking to, I don't know why he's asking us the answer to the question that he came up with. So I don't understand. Can you explain that, Wesley? Like, are you asking us our opinion of this question, or is this like a quiz? Like, what would it?
It's impossible for you to even have any idea what he and I are talking about.
Why?
So why'd you call the show?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like, that's blue balls, right? That's not. Come on, MD. That's not fair, is it?
What? All right. Let me ask you this, Wesley. What point are you trying to make here?
I'm going to visit you, both of you, in the future.
You know where I live.
Very soon.
When?
And I'm just
Okay.
when I
When?
All right.
I'm writing
Pause
it down
for
right
pause
now.
for 1 second, Wesley.
Write it down.
So everyone, viewers, listeners, I think Wesley's about to give us a prophecy.
Come on, let's do it.
And so I want to get from Wesley what everyone should ask about people who are professing prophecies. So Wesley, what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? And how am I going to know?
And I'm going to say to you, you know, I had that vision too. I saw the palm trees with orange red in the bottom dark green leaves. They mean that I have.
Wait, hold on.
Getting involved.
Wait. Stop at the palms real quick. Palm tree. I'm writing this shit down. Palm trees with what?
With orange red color in the middle of the dark green leaves. Only the lower half of the leaves.
Okay,
On
lower
her
half.
palm had orange red color in them, and they are interpreted that I failed you by not getting involved, and when I fail you, I failed Jesus. The foot didn't bleed that is cut
Wait,
off.
wait, wait.
It means I have.
Okay, but I thought you said you were going to visit us.
Yeah, when?
After a nuclear bomb detonates in the city of Chicago and the city is evacuated.
When is that?
It's built in a green station. And I'm not going to give you the date. You wouldn't. You
Why?
don't believe
Oh,
I want to make sure that I'm not in Chicago.
yeah, that sucks, bro. That's not cool.
Do not believe. It's going
Well,
to be.
because you haven't given me a reason to believe yet, Wesley.
And I've
I'm
still
not
got
going
broken
to
teeth.
give you a reason. That is your choice.
Okay, so all right, so you're gonna visit me after a nuclear bomb goes off in Chicago. Okay, where? Where are we gonna meet?
Me too. Come on, don't forget about me.
Where are we gonna meet, Wesley?
You will not be living in a house when I do.
What do you
Okay,
mean, living
that's
with a
not
mouse?
specific. What
That's
country? Will you tell me what country?
The prophecies are bad, boom, boom, mark of the 10, the black, death, war, Yavol, and hell. They are prophecies given to 144,000 young Jewish children. Those Jewish children are living now and are scattered worldwide.
I'm one of them.
I'm going to gather them. I'm going to gather those only. You, I'm not going to gather. You
not?
are
Okay.
going to take a mark. You are going to take a mark called the Omni because your God is money. And you are going to do it to get $32,000 in cryptocurrency from Islam. And you're
Bro,
going
no.
This is a lot.
Hey,
Wow.
Wes,
Where?
hey,
So, Wesley, where are you getting this information?
Yeah, you don't know me.
I think I know the answer to this question.
I'm a man of the earth. You heard in your voice
You're
Satan
the man of
telling
the
you
earth.
he was going to turn like a ball. You think it's God. So you don't really have a
what?
you don't have a solid head on your shoulders, guys.
Really?
Thanks.
Hey, man, when I just graduated with this fucking neuroscience undergrad, somehow my head was still on my shoulders. I got accepted at these master programs. I mean, now you're just talking shit, bro.
Your mind,
I've just muted Wesley real quick.
Thank you.
I don't know that we're gonna get anything sensical
No.
further out of this call. What do you think, Jason? You got anything else?
Man, I've heard this cat talk a bunch of times, and
Oh, really?
He just doesn't seem to really want to respect the questions being asked, and I think that really sucks, man. And when somebody acts that way, I can't really take them serious, and it kind of pisses me off that somebody's just kind of talking like, "Hey, I've got these answers, and I know all this shit, but I'm not going to give it to you. And you've got this Jewish secret, but you don't really have it because you're not a real Jew." Like, dude, what are you doing? Come on,
he doesn't seem to be tracking anything. Anything we're.
No, nothing, man.
He's not having a conversation with us. We'll say. I'm happy to hear any kind of theory, belief, whatever you want, but we do want to have a conversation. Number one, and that means like a back and forth.
Yeah,
and I do want there to be some attempt to convince me. Some reason. It doesn't have to be, evidence. You don't have to point to a paper or something like that, or scientific or anything. I just want to have a reason. And saying, oh, you're not going to believe me because you're going to have the mark of the Omni and accept $32,000 for Islam or whatever. This is not anything to me. I have nothing. Nothing. Yeah. Okay. So before we get to the next call, just so you're aware, we are now accepting super chats.
Cool.
And we may read them live on the air. So feel free to make us read things you've written, assuming they're YouTube appropriate. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so again by donating to our Patreon, tiny.cc/PatreonTW. There's a few different tiers there, and you get your name shouted out during the show if you donate, as you saw earlier.
Hell yeah.
You can also support the show by becoming a member. You get emojis in the chat. Your name gets highlighted in the chat, and you'll be immune to slow mode. And that's for as little as 99 cents per month. But we truly do appreciate more than that if you can afford it. So with all that said, why don't we get to another caller?
Yes.
And I think we've heard from this person before. In fact, I think I've spoken to this person before. Why don't we talk to Amanuel in Texas, who says that atheism is incomprehensible to average people. Amanuel, you are live on Truth Wanted.
This is great.
Okay, how are you guys?
Hey, man, how you doing?
How you doing? Well, I was just like, like I had all these thoughts, and I was like, I don't like call to this like atheist people and like maybe like give a challenge. And what I was thinking was like when I see like the worldview of like atheism, it's just like it starts and it ends. And it's just like one sentence, and I can't get an implication from that worldview. It's just like, oh, there is no deity, and we don't have like any evidence, and that's it. So I was like, that doesn't even like make any sense, because like if you see, for example, if you see like any religion, any world religion, it has a implication. Like, what are the things that you need to do? What happens after death? Who could you sleep with, or what things could you speak? There are a lot of things that are like black and white, but like atheism is just like, oh, there's no evidence that there's no creator, so we deny, we reject that claim, and that's it. So it's just like, how does that make sense?
So that's certainly what some atheists believe. Some atheists have different claims that they make or that they fail to make for different reasons. It sounds like you have a problem with atheism not dictating how people live their lives. Is that what is bothering you?
I'm saying it's just way up there that for average person to endorse such a view. It's like if you just talk to, like, for example, like my father, I don't even think that he will understand the things that you say. Like some of the words that you say, you just said. I know that.
Why do you think that is?
Words.
Yeah, I agree. That's a problem.
I think. I don't even think like you guys know what you guys believe. It's just like.
No, you can't. No.
Well, like let's sort one thing out, right? Okay, so atheism is just an answer to one question, right? It's a statement about a position on one specific, entity. An atheist, under typical definitions, will lack a belief in a god or gods. Someone like Richard Dawkins would say that, Christians are atheists towards most of the gods that have ever existed. And then the people who everyone else calls atheists just go one god further. So you could say that atheists reject or don't have beliefs with respect to any god. Some atheists will say that they actively disbelieve in any gods. Someone like Dan, I think, defines himself as an atheist, saying that he doesn't believe in any described gods, if I'm quoting him correctly, but it's better to hear it directly from him. But back to, I think, your question, Amanuel, is, you seem to think that this lack of dictating aspects of how people should live their lives is foreign. It's like a foreign notion to the average person. And I don't disagree. And I think Jason was indicating his agreement with that as well. Yep. But my question to you, Amanuel, is why do you think it's such a foreign notion to people? Why do you think that that's so odd that people don't get it?
It's just what I think is like I've seen a lot of like worldview. I've shifted my worldview so many times. I've been. I have rejected claims of the Bible, and I have become a Mennonite Christian, then become a Pentecostal, then endorsed Calvinism at some point of my life. Now I identify as a progressive Calvinistic Pentecostal. So it's like in all the views that I've had in the past, there are some rules that I need to follow. There are some documents that I need to accept on face value. So, like, even when I was a Mennonite, I'm not a Mennonite right now, I'm Pentecostal Calvinist, but even when I was a Mennonite, I know what things to wear, what things to say, what things will get me to heaven.
Right.
Even though I shifted my rules, there's just like, if I became a person who does not believe in God, it's just like, I don't see, like what am I supposed to do? It's just like, you know, I don't even have.
So I think you have identified something that I think you've identified as something that we talk about a lot, which is atheism is not a worldview per se, right? Yep. Like people, particularly theists, like to call in and say, under an atheist worldview, X, Y, Z. As you've identified, Amanuel, there is no uniform atheist worldview. You could have a secular humanist worldview. You could have an environmentalist worldview. You could have a utilitarian worldview. All of these are different, ways of looking at the world. I think that the thing that you're struggling with is the fact that atheism, a lack of belief in gods, does not prescribe any particular behavior. Yep. And I think that you're finding that weird, and maybe many people find that odd. I think the reason for that is because religion has poisoned the well. Mm-hmm. They've made it so that, religions have made it so that everyone expects that a belief about a higher power, a deity, whatever, to come with directives. And that's just the way that people have been raised for generations and generations.
Yep.
They've been, if you will, indoctrinated to believe that a belief in, what you believe about the creator of the universe also dictates what kind of food you should eat, whether or not you can blend or mix fabrics or whatever that last guy was talking about, blending and mixing.
Yeah.
When really there's nothing that inherently necessitates those two things to be connected, right? There's no actual reason why a theoretical creator of the universe would care or should care about what we do to each other, or really anything. There's nothing to say that a theoretical creator should or could care about anything at all. So I think that you've correctly identified, Amanuel, the fact that people are indoctrinated to believe that there is this link, when I don't think that there necessarily is. What do you think?
I don't understand the question. Can you clarify a little bit more?
What do you think of my proposal that the reason people are confused is because religions have, over the years, indoctrinated people into thinking that a belief about God should come with directives about how to live their lives?
Yeah, and that you need those directives to live. Like you have accepted the fact that I need directives to live my life on a spiritual nature. You are convinced that that is a need. That's the problem. Why do you think that is?
I do recognize that just because it's the idea is that I'm popular, therefore the majority of people will be confused about such a proposal. Okay.
No, what it is social conditioning. Your mind has been trained and conditioned by your society, by your direct socialization agents to think in a specific pattern. So what you said, you brought up, like, I like it because it's black and white. Now, in psychology, we call that concrete operations. It is more or less described as the inability to think pragmatically, the inability to utilize dialectics, gray areas, seeing things in like somebody else's perspective, and being stuck in black and white thinking hinders greatly the ability to critically analyze situations and be skeptical about one's environment and your own internal kind of metaphysical environment, for lack of better terms. And one thing you've pointed out, and I think you might have outed yourself, you've answered your own question. You have been around people like your family and like the groups that you're around that continually reinforce the notion that there needs to be some type of external authority dictating your life. And it seems to really scare you, and God seems to really scare you. So you're scared that, what do I do? Well, the helplessness that you've been told you were supposed to feel is a learned helplessness that has been taught. In a sense, your identity gets foreclosed and people tell you that you're helpless. But MD and I, we're both moral people who don't harm people and give our time and try to do good things. I'm a good dad, and I don't need the God thing to tell me what to do. What I need is an agreement between me and my fellow human and other animals that we're not going to harm each other. And we're going to do our best to look out for each other. And then you stick with that agreement and figure out what best increases that. I mean, it's actually a lot easier than trying to figure out what your different versions of God are saying the next year that you're a Mennonite or a Pentecostal or a Baptist. I mean, honestly, it seems like you're just living by your own morals and trying to, because now you're saying you're progressive. Well, that seems to fit more with your own personal morality, man. I mean, it's okay. You don't need a God. Nothing's going to happen, dude. You know, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that, man?
Well, it's just that, first of all, like, I do believe that even outside of the people that I might end up harming or benefiting, like, I have took time to study the scriptures, and I do believe that one day I'll face the judgment seat of Christ. And I think it's in 2 Corinthians 5:10 that the Bible says that we shall all appear in the judgment seat of Christ. And I think that the things that I do not only harms people, but it could end up offending an eternal God. So I don't generally just view the actions that I take and the rules that I have to abide by as necessarily only end up in the consequence of society. So I don't think that the way that you just put it, like, you know, like you live for your family, or your view is just like human to human interaction. I don't view it in that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
you know, Amanuel, let me ask you a question.
okay.
Why do you believe in the Bible?
Oh, that's actually a good question. I think it's in Luke 24:21 that Jesus said that we have to believe in the words of the prophets.
Well, that's the book.
Not Luke 24:21.
Right, but that's the Bible. That's the Bible saying that you have to believe the Bible.
Yeah.
So why do you believe the Bible in the first place?
In the first place, it's just that. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, we can
hear you, bud. Yeah.
Okay, so what I think is, because I've studied it individually, like, I didn't just like hear someone else preaching to me.
I understand. My question though is,
okay.
my question is, yeah, like, to me at least, if I'm gonna decide to believe something, the origin of that belief, the validation of that belief has to come from outside of the thing.
Yep.
If you know what I mean. Like, if I'm gonna believe this biology textbook that's behind me, it has to point to something external. I'm not going to open the book and just believe what's written in the biology textbook, because inside the biology textbook it says this biology textbook describes facts. I'm going to say, well, where is it getting this information? And it's going to point to, you know, papers, and those papers are going to point to experiments that someone did that I could theoretically replicate, and some people have, but at least whose methods I could look at. So what And that's sort of where my belief comes from. Comes from the fact that this can all be externally validated outside of the actual book.
Yep.
So where does your belief in the Bible come from?
I believe comes from it's more of like a theory. It's just that I take the risk of faith. You know, if I believe in God and those things were not real, you know, I have nothing to lose. But if I did not believe in God and there might be a possible judgment, then I'm screwed for eternity. So I think it's much more wise decision to actually believe these things and become incorrect instead of like rejecting the claims.
Do you know what that's called, Amanuel?
I know it's Pascal, but yeah.
Sorry, say it again.
It's Pascal's wager, right? So
right.
Yeah, I know the theory, and when I look at other religions from other culture, for example, I grew up like in Ethiopia, which is half and half Christianity, half Islam, and when I look at other religions, it's like mythology that I don't even like have a tiniest bit that other religions could be true. But I know that it's possible for Christianity to be not real, but I believe that there's a high percentage chance that Christianity could be real. But I know that there is 0.1% that other religions could be true. I could just see it and I could tell that it's an ancient mythology.
So how do you come up with those? How do you come up with those numbers, Amanuel? You said there's you say all around it, and you think there's a 99% chance that Christianity is real. Where did you get that 99% chance? How did you calculate that number?
Yeah, versus the other religion.
Or no religion.
For example, if you look at Islam claims that the creator God cannot manifest in the flesh. So,
well, what if it's a God that, what if it's a God that we haven't heard of? You know, there's no existing religion that describes the truth, or maybe it's no religion. Like, how do you? My question is, how did you calculate the 99%? What makes you that confident in Christianity?
Because first of all, Christianity is very consistent with the Old Testament. So if we had no New Testament and apostles telling us, but I can pull out verses in the Old Testament. Okay, I'm sorry.
So the Bible is the Old and New Testament. So what MD's trying to get at, man, is that we have to verify outside. Like if I have a code book at work and it says I have to do a certain test and a certain thing, and then somebody calls me and says, "Hey, Jason, we passed the test." I can't just take their word for it. I need to go bring my code book with me, see the test that they did, make sure it matches up, make sure everything's calibrated. I have to do all this stuff to verify external of somebody saying this test passed. So what MD's asking is what's external.
What if here's the thing. But the case is, if you deny these claims, the possibility is eternal torture. And
sure. So we can talk about Pascal's wager for a second, Amanuel. Like, obviously, this only really works.
If the Bible is incorrect, then I die believing wrong things. But if the Bible is true and I deny it, I'll be in a place where I don't have any kind of.
But what if it's a different? What if it's a different religion?
Yeah.
What if it's you didn't choose to believe in Zeus, so you go to Hades and you go to the underworld where you're guarded by Cerberus and all these, Pascal's wager in part is sort of a false dichotomy, where it's saying, well, if I'm wrong, then I'll just rot in the ground. It's that's only if you're comparing Christianity versus atheism,
Yep.
right? Or specifically a version of atheism where there is no afterlife of any kind and no judgment.
Well,
But there are other, theoretical possibilities that are not ruled out and not addressed by Pascal's wager.
and if I may, one other thing I'd like to bring up, I just want to point out, you admitted that there could be a chance that it's not true. So that means you don't 100% believe in it. So by admitting that, you're showing that you don't believe, and you have to believe in your heart and confess with your mouth. So if you're not 100% convinced, you don't fully, but you're saying there's actually a chance. I don't understand how, I just don't understand that. Like, you're saying there has to be a chance, but I believe in it, but there could be I don't know. Doesn't there need to be 100% certainty? Because ultimately, if the God you're talking about knows your mind and knows your heart and has all those omnis that Descartes presented and all that stuff, then that God already knows that you don't believe. And just pretending, like just confessing with your mouth, doesn't get you. Believing in your heart and confessing in your mouth is what gets you there. So I think acting that way is actually very dishonest. And I think that a God would know that and would much more respect somebody who's not lukewarm and respect somebody who's cold, like myself and MD, because it's a lukewarm that they spit out of his mouth. So that's all I got to say about that.
What do you think, Amanuel?
Well, what I think is I do believe, but it's not like I could show you. It's not like we could go to the laboratory and like.
No,
I
didn't
show
say
you
that.
Christ is. No. I understand.
We're not even really asking for that, though.
I never
right?
asked for that. I never said that. I never even brought that up.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, since I have never seen it, the only thing that I could do as a person is I could trust in Christ and receive forgiveness for my sins. That's
no,
because I have sinned, right? We have. Okay.
You can't even demonstrate Christ to yourself. So you can't even, Hobbes even argues against Descartes in this, that the idea of a concept of a God is dishonest in itself. I'm more of an atheist because to me, it's totally incoherent. You can't even point to the Christ that you don't even fully believe in, that you don't even know its properties. You're just saying you have faith in a thing that is now a supposed mental construct that you have to pull from other references in life to describe. It's only analogous, and you can't even point to the reference, so you're not even justified in saying that you have a concept of the thing you say you believe in, man. And like I said, you admitted you don't even believe in it 100%, thus making you lukewarm. And God warns about that. If you believe in this, your God warns against that in Revelation, man. I think that should be more dealt with than whatever science thing you said to me.
Okay. Well, actually, that's actually a good description. I would not say that I'm agnostic, though. I still do identify as atheist. So, okay.
It seems like you're agnostic, man. I mean, I feel like you just admitted that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't say you were agnostic. You just said you were maybe. Come on, bro. I mean, I don't mean to call you out, man, but I mean, honestly, I've listened to you talk a lot, man, and I've listened to your discussions, and I just think that it's interesting that fear seems to be your biggest motivator. And I don't mean to analyze you on here, but if fear is a motivator, that's terrible. And I feel bad.
I mean, I think if I can circle us back to sort of how we started this call, this notion that you brought up, Amanuel, of atheism not fitting into what people typically expect from a worldview or a belief system with respect to deities. As I said, I think that's coming from a lot of like the poisoning the well that religion has done to society over the centuries, millennia. And kind of that is what makes young atheists so annoying. Because they have this like, oh my God moment, right? Where they feel like their mind has been freed. Mm-hmm. They see the code in the matrix. They mentally break free of all of these barriers that society has put up, these expectations that society has placed that say, no, you can't run your own life. You can't make your own decisions. You need to have a belief in a God, and that belief in a God informs how you live your life, down to like the most minute aspects. What you do to your hair, who you marry, how you run your relationship, who's in charge, what clothes you wear, all of these things. And the atheists, when a lot of people become atheists, they will realize that they can throw out all of those societal expectations and those societal norms. And that is why people feel very freed after they have deconstructed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Amanuel, you are potentially in a position to start asking some really interesting questions of yourself. And it sounds like you are accepting of the fact that you may have some element of uncertainty. And I think that if I were you, I would examine that, why you have that uncertainty, what the other options could be, and really think about why you have the beliefs that you have. Is it because you're looking for structure in your life because society has told you that you need this structure from a religion? Or is it because of something else, right? Do you think maybe you could decide how to live your life on your own and you don't need to have someone else putting these values upon you? What do you think, Jason?
I think that breaking free from that social, cultural indoctrination is extremely, extremely hard. We've seen recent studies come out of Rice University showing how extreme indoctrination literally rewires your brain, and it makes things like, again, critical thinking stuff. And I mean, so we're talking study after study of correlations between religious belief and believing in fake news and conspiracy theories, and believing in harmful things and social decay, all those things. So I think we can all be really skeptical looking outside of ourselves, but when you turn that skepticism inwards, which I think Amanuel's doing by calling in and having a couple ruthless atheists kind of chew into him about his stuff, I definitely commend you, Amanuel, for calling in and talking to us.
Yeah,
because these are hard fucking questions. And if I would recommend anything, little RFR plug, Recovering from Religion is not just for atheists. If you are dealing with religious questions and you want to talk with people who have experience, call in and talk with some of the folks there. They're good people. Or if anything, reach out to a counselor or a therapist, because whenever you start digging this shit out, it's fucking rough. I know it took me about 5 years to even out after I deconstructed. I mean, I was a youth pastor and got involved in some culty stuff and led praise and worship. And it took a long time and a lot of hard feelings and a lot of, internalized homophobia and weird shit, that I still deal with it 20 years later. So I applaud you for having these hard conversations, man.
If I could say, though, I don't want to ruin, I don't want to ruin the conversation, but I have to say this. If you are a youth pastor,
don't.
And you are a Christian,
nice.
I believe that you are still saved.
Okay, so that's okay. You have to understand that's extremely. Hey, so I appreciate that, but not really. I know where you're coming from, so I appreciate it. But I just want to let you know, bro, for later stuff, that's really fucking offensive, man. If Jesus was real, I don't want to be around that son of a. Just fuck that guy, man. Because as far as I'm concerned, the story of Jesus is one of the greatest versions of gaslighting that I've ever seen. So while you may see things like "I'll pray for you, God bless you," I feel like you're still saved. I openly reject anything involving a Holy Spirit or anything like that. And the Holy Spirit can go fuck itself, and Virgin Mary sucks. So, I covered all bases right there. So just so you know, I'm not saved, bro. And I wouldn't want it if it was offered to me on a silver platter with chocolate on top. So I appreciate it, but don't ever say that to me again. Love you.
Okay.
We do appreciate your call, Amanuel. We've been chatting for about a half hour, so we're gonna move on. But genuinely, we appreciate your call, and
Yeah,
you've
dude.
called several times, and we appreciate it every time. So thanks again, Amanuel, for the call, and we hope you do call in again, because even though we disagree on some of this stuff, we still enjoy the conversation, which is why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another call that I want to get to. Before that, though, I want to shout out our merch store. We have a limited edition t-shirt they're going to put up. Yeah, there it is. Okay. This one, this month, says, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. That is up, I think, only until the end of the month, which is rapidly approaching. You can get this at tiny.cca/merchaca if you want that shirt or any of this other stuff you see on the screen. Tote bags, tank tops, toques. If you're coming to Toronto, you'll need one of those. Sweaters, phone cases, all sorts of stuff. We appreciate the support that we get from that, and it's a good way to show your support outwardly as well, walking around in the world. In addition, if you want to hear our content in audio-only form, which is the way I typically consume ACA content, you can go to tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for all of the latest ACA shows. With that said, why don't we get to probably our last call of the day? But hey, we'll see if we get anyone else calling in.
Okay.
We do still have lines open. So hey, if anyone wants to call in, the number is 512-991-9242 or through your computer at tiny.cc/calltw. Please call in. We do want to talk to you, and we'll make time. Next, we're going to talk to Gnorp. Him, calling from Connecticut. And it sounds like Gnorp is an atheist who is having some issues with anhedonia. Jason, you'll be familiar with this term. Losing the ability to enjoy creative pursuits, psychedelics, and the value of traditions. Gnorp, you are live on Truth Wanted. What do you got for us today?
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's anhedonia per se, because I really enjoy, I've moved. It's interesting that you said something along the lines of you're not going to lose anything if you learn to think critically. So I'm kind of become more aware of epistemology and become an agnostic atheist over time. And at the same time, I've become like a lot more involved in STEM stuff. I used to be a musician and like an artist and all that stuff. And I still kind of do that, but I got this new job doing coding and like engineering and all that kind of thing. And it's amazing. But yeah, I think very like rationally now. And I feel like my ability that part of my identity or my ability to enjoy kind of the art and art creation stuff, fantasy, the traditions of religion or valuing them, and like also psychedelics have all kind of they're going away, or pretty much they're kind of gone for the time being. And I'm wondering about that from your perspective. I know Jason might in particular have some thoughts on that.
Can I ask how long it's been since you started your deconstruction?
Oh, probably 10 years. Or I guess I've always kind of been agnostic-ish, but I was more of a kind of outsider spiritualist, I guess.
And why is the religious stuff still like why does it need to be valuable? Like why do you need, like why can't like getting into cars or working on motorcycles or learning how to weld become another thing that you value? Like why hold on to something that's obviously already mentally kind of shedding itself off? Like is it grief that you're feeling, like you're grieving the joy, or what's your body telling you?
I don't know. I guess two things. I guess I don't think I've ever really been like fully in a religion. I'm kind of jealous of that on some level, because a lot of people kind of grow up with that and have had that. And then on the other side of things, I don't know. I think I do really enjoy all these new things, and I don't feel like I'm not able to enjoy them. But I just want to be able to kind of flip into that and kind of not. I feel like I'm just constantly hyper rational or something like that, and I'd like to be able to kind of be a little looser sometimes with and enjoy that kind of weird stuff people seem to think. I don't know, you know.
Yeah. MD, what do you got, man? I feel like you got something to say.
Well, I've been just looking. What I understand the feeling that you're describing, Gnorp. And like people say this all the time. You sort of have lost the magic, right? You've lost the sense of wonder and magic now that you sort of are thinking about things more closely. Is that sort of what you're getting?
I don't know. I find a lot of wonder and magic in these other things. It's just different and maybe not maybe a little more clinical or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, what I was trying to find in the background, Carl Sagan has an interview, and I was trying to find a good quote, but I'll just have to paraphrase. He talks about a friend of his who is an artist who says that, oh, I hate these scientists. They always try to explain everything. They try to explain the beauty of a flower, and it completely ruins the the beauty, the romanticism of it. Mm-hmm. And Sagan's response is that I can still appreciate the flower for its outward appearance, for its aesthetics. But I have, in fact, a deeper appreciation of the beauty of that flower because I also understand the scientific processes underlying the metabolic processes that drive it, the photosynthesis, why the flower has evolved the way it has, the interactions between the flower species and its local insect population over the course of millennia, all of these things. His ultimate point is that, I think it, to a certain degree, it's a point of view, and it's a mindset. It's like, how do you want to approach the world? Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? It doesn't have to be purely clinical. Right. You can still enjoy the aesthetic, superficial level of creative pursuits, psychedelics, whatever you used to enjoy, in the same way, or you can choose to look deeper. And maybe part of the problem is you're having trouble turning off the analytical part of your brain to enjoy the superficial parts. And maybe that's just practice. The only thing I can really say is from my experience, I only really experienced an increase in my ability to enjoy those creative pursuits, the ability to appreciate things that I enjoy. It has only gotten better with understanding them more.
Yeah, I agree.
I extract joy from a greater understanding of the things that I like.
Yeah. It's like the will to knowledge that, like, I'm a typical white guy, but Nietzsche says, the will to power. Like, and then even like when MD said, like, doing things like purposely that have no value other than enjoyment. Like, I suffer from the same problem, Gnorp. I'm overly, I work for me as joy, but then I realize I'm overworking myself. I turn everything into work. So in our household, we make it we purpose that we do things for the sake of doing them that have no value, that actually cost money, that things like that. And it's I'm able to, like, because it's like it's again to reference Nietzsche. It's like he talks about art and music as a thing in itself. It's a pursuit for itself. You're doing art for art's sake. And I think the problem that we deal with, especially being here stateside, is that everything we deal with commodity fetishism. Everything has a fucking value attached to it. So especially, you said you do coding. I'm a welding inspector right now. While I'm finishing up all my other academic studies, CWI. I do metallurgical testing to the chemical analysis.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm in a metal manufacturing plant as well.
Yeah. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm the guy that walks around and ruins everybody's day. So, but what's great about it is that I can shoot a PMI machine on what I don't know what type of metal it is, and as long as I know it's calibrated, I can figure out the chemical composition and see what's wrong. If the mill screwed us over, it's really interesting, and I know it, and I sound smart, even though I'm just repeating shit from a textbook, you know. But it's super interesting, and I get more in depth into it. But then also, I really like doing shit like playing in punk rock bands. You know, one of my bands gets paid all right. The other ones, you know, not really, but it's fun and it's for itself, and it takes away my time, and I'm doing it for it. So maybe like you can look into things like exposure, like exposing yourself to shit that involves no analytics, right? Like doing something that just seems stupid and silly and doesn't involve anything outside of just fun. Like, go get massages or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's something like that is purely for you. That doesn't involve work. That doesn't involve, because men are, especially if you're working in the industry that we are conditioned to see our value as our production and value. And if I'm not producing, and if I'm wasting, and we lose the ability just to enjoy. And I think that's conditioned out of us. I think like what Amanuel was talking about and what you're talking about are very synonymous, that we're told we need to have this like myth of mystery being valuable. But once you figure things out, it's ruined. You've just been told that, you know, I mean, I don't know. I agree with MD. The more knowledge I get, the happier I feel, because it's less stupid shit in here and more cool shit in here. So I don't know how you feel about that, man.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't know. I guess I have to keep thinking about it some more.
Try to do.
Maybe I'm just like greedy and jealous of I want to be able to be everybody, and I am. You know, you grow and you change, and I really do value. I still value playing like music, jazz music, and stuff, and all these things. But it's not. I guess I sometimes want it to be this. It feels like it was just coming out of nowhere before. And like it would just be like some magical force that was like driving me to do stuff. And now it's more like, oh, I kind of know why it's doing stuff, which is awesome and very exciting and great. And I can be more effective in many ways. But I just kind of wish I could do both. And I don't know if it works that way, I guess.
I think, Gnorp, if you're missing the mystery in the world, you just need to look deeper, because it's mysteries all the way down, man. You'll if you keep learning and you keep searching, all you're going to find are more mysteries.
Yeah, man. I was going to say education. Like I hit an existential dread kind of spot in my life a little while back. I just dove into education and information, and my mind was just constantly, especially neuroscience. And I was going to say, why not? How much philosophy have you dive into? You know, I mean, it's there's just a wellspring.
Really
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, study things that challenge your mind and challenge your own like internal way of belief in your own internal schema. There's a cognitive processing therapy is really interesting because it's skepticism aimed inwards, and you are challenging more or less the metaphysical world that you've built for yourself and the narrative you tell yourself, and you're like purposely rewiring pathways in your brain. I mean, why not just like treat your mind as a project at this point? Because I'm sure there's a lot of shit you don't know, man. And I'm sure there's a lot of shit you don't know how to do.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, Gnorp, thanks for the call. I hope that, I mean, we're not going to solve all of your problems, but I hope this at least helped. We really appreciate the call, and I think that was a nice way to like palate cleansing way to wrap up the show.
Yeah. For sure.
So a couple of announcements to finish. If you happen to be in the Austin area this Sunday, 2 days hence, August 27th, 2023, we're going to be broadcasting live from the Free Thought Library, which you saw a snippet of in the crew cam earlier. Join us for Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience. Talk Heathen will be hosted by Forrest Valkai, J. Mike, and Jamie the Blind Limey. And Atheist Experience will be hosted by Johnny P. Angel, Forrest Valkai, and J. Mike. Doors open at noon. We hope to see you there. If you want to reach out to us to debrief or to ask us any other questions, you can email truthwanted at truth@atheist-community.org. You can reach out to the ACA at tv@atheist-community.org and see what's going on at our website, which is atheist-community.org. That's all very straightforward. There's also a Facebook group. It's run by fans and for fans. That is found at tiny.cc/FBTWG. And you can go there to interact with other fans, chat about, calls, chat about arguments you want to try out. Anyone really can go there and have a good time. It's a really good group. I've been lurking in the background a little bit, and everyone's like very chill and respectful there. Lastly, have you ever said to yourself, I really love the content that the ACA creates, but I wish there was a way I could get it all the time? Well, now there is. We have two 24/7 live streams. AXB TV delivers a constant stream of shows, clips, and specials from over 26 seasons of the Atheist Experience. And now now Heathen TV provides you with clips from Talk Heathen. You can watch or listen to your favorite hosts and discover some hosts you've never heard of. You can find those at tiny.cc/AXPTV and tiny.cc/HeathenTV. So visit those to join the fun. I have found that some of those are great background noise to put on when you're doing something mindless like folding laundry or whatever. Yep. Or sometimes if you're feeling a bit insomniac, then that'll help lull you off to sleep until someone infuriating comes on. But hey, with that, we've reached the end of our show. So thank you, Jason, for being on the show with us today. Where can our audience find you to learn more about you? What if they want to reach out?
A couple things. I spent some time on the Atheist Community Discord, helping out around there. Also, like I said, I play in a punk rock band called Verbal Abuse. I think we're trying to set up a Japanese tour next year, European, and a Southeast Asian tour. So yeah, look for our new record. We talk about all these issues. It's old school punk rock, been around for a long time. Slayer's favorite band, playing a couple other bands called another band called The Burden, have a new record coming out. Again, our singer hits on a lot of these social issues, a lot of, just pretty much everything that we talk about here at the ACA. And I don't know. I mean, you find me on Instagram. My name's right there. You can email me if you want to here at the ACA, Jason.Friedman at the Atheist Community -thing as well, just like everything else. And yeah, pretty much it. I'm pretty easy to find, so.
Perfect. And hey, now that you mentioned Discord, we're going to be hanging out there in the Atheist Community of Discord after show. So you can join us at tiny.cc/ACD Discord. Once again, we should thank the crew. I don't know, do we have a crew cam again? If not, we just have to thank them again. They are the ones who make this happen every single week. Finally, remember, we want the truth segment. The prompt this week, wrong answers only. What's really going on at Area 51? Comment on the video, and your comment may be read on next week's episode. Tune in at the beginning of the episode next week to hear our top 3 answers. That's it for tonight. I'm your host, MD Aware, and as always, remember to keep wanting the truth.
Watch the Non-Prophets and join the hosts in the live chat. Visit tiny.cc/ytnp.